Hey, viewer, Highlander, and I'm gonna do a Mega Drive, a Sega Mega Drive video subject thing. Because I've been grabbed by the Mega Drive again, and I never had one when I was young. I don't even remember that I knew of its existence. But I've been impressed many times by the games that exist on the Mega Drive. I mean, it's this such great games, and luckily, a long while ago, my friend Mark Lacto, I think he gave me a Mega Drive. But it's a confused one, because if I look on the bottom of it, it's a PAL unit, but I think that it outputs NTSC. And the reason why I think this is that the thing works on hardly any monitor or TV that I have. It just works on the Philips, the old CRT, the Philips CRT that used to be our main TV. I think 20 years ago, I still have, and it's the only system that will, or the only monitor TV that will take the signal. It doesn't do so perfectly, but it works. And I had the idea because I was messing around with the Mega. I don't even know why anymore. But this whole Mega Drive thing, I'll just go through it. Let's start with this. Okay, so this is already years ago. I think 2 or 3 years ago, I bought a Musha LS, like the Japanese version of Musha, and I bought that. This is a reproduction. Obviously, it was cheap. It was a cheap reproduction. It was 15 euros shipped from China or whatever. But it looked in pretty good nick. It wasn't bad. The case looked good. The manual was in color, although all in Japanese. But it's Musha LS, so that's the Japanese version of the game. I didn't mind that. This is all color and like plastic kind paper. Great, I thought. It was great. And the cartridge was good. I mean, it was a bit plasticky, but it was fine. Problem was that the flap sort of came loose. Now, I think I'll start my story here with this thing, because I felt like playing this game again. That's how it went. I felt like playing this game again. Sorry, I'm gonna talk and mess here. Felt like playing this game again, and I connected it to my Bang & Olufsen MX7000, and that's kind of a crawl, because in order to get behind it, it's kind of a tight squeeze, and of course it didn't work. So I thought, well, shit, I want to play this game. But the entire console didn't work on this system. Nothing happened, no sound, no video. So I decided, I still have the old TV sitting here, useless in a corner, and I thought, what if I just set up a little corner of me sitting on the ground? It sounds very 80-ish, like like you would do as a kid, something that I never did with the Mega Drive, but I liked the image. So I took some bricks out of the backyard that I had stacked somewhere, and I found an old board by the side of the house, and I cut it to size, and I put it on the bricks, and I put the old TV on the board and connected it up, and it worked. And I was the console worked, and I I played Wings of War or Gainug, and it was great. But sip of water. But this one wouldn't work. And I've had problems before. I have to take it out and put it in again. And so I took a little IPA and I cleaned the contacts, but nothing worked. And then all of a sudden it rattled. Something rattled inside. And I thought, well, maybe it's a capacitor or a resistor or something that's come loose. And I'd never opened this. So I cracked it open. And to my horror, the only component, this is what's inside, and the only component on it is this chip. And it was loose. It was completely loose. It was just flying. In fact, when I opened the cartridge, all that fell into my lap was this, and I thought, why is there nothing on it? But this had already fallen out. It was on the ground somewhere. So, and the legs are extremely tiny. So what I decided that I would, being inspired by Gadget UK and Hans and all these clever people who do drag soldering, I thought, hey, I can do this. So what I did is I set up my phone as a sort of a magnifier, which worked surprisingly well. And then I put I made sure that the legs were all lined up with the tiny contacts on this board. And I put some flux on. I tinned the tip of my soldering iron, and I dragged a little solder over it. And then I thought I can, with a solder wick, I can go like in this direction, in the direction of the legs, away from the chip, and I just make it neat and tidy. But I couldn't do it because even though I had put a tiny bit of solder on the tip of my iron, a tiny little bit had gotten under the legs. So like between in the little, because the chip is like this, and then the legs go down and they touch the contacts, and it got right under there, and I couldn't get it out. I used wick. I used every trick that I had available to me, and it didn't work. I couldn't get the solder out from under it. So I tried the other side with even less solder, and that worked. That actually looked good. And I took the pictures. I'll put the pictures up. Those pictures looked okay. It's very hard to see, but I can see some solder bridges. But I put the cartridge in, and it still wouldn't work. The odd thing is, though, when I tried to, because I decided, I have to take it off and then just drag all the tin off and and then just start over. But I just couldn't get it off. I couldn't get it off. It was so tight. I tried prying a knife underneath it. There's a code. Oh, it's the same code. I couldn't get it off, which was odd, because it was loose in the first place, and I'm pretty damn sure that they soldered only one leg, or maybe they even glued, because I saw a tiny bit. It could have been flux from my attempts, but I'm pretty sure that they just soldered one tiny leg, or maybe two, and then hoped that it would stay, but it had come off by itself. And this thing had not been abused, right? This cartridge, it had sat on my shelf, and I had it in, and it didn't get any abuse. But this was loose, so this was, this is a cautionary tale, right? So don't buy a cheap reproduction, because you'll get shit like this. Anyway, in the end, I got a little impatient. I waited a day, and then I came back and I tried, and it went from bad to worse. And in the end, I had one end loose, which was a sort of a moment of success, but I had already spotted that I'd lifted a trace, I think, but it came up and I heated the other side and I pulled it off, and it looks horrible, right? It looks horrible now. And I've, because the traces are so tiny, I think 80% of the traces got lifted with the chip. So this is just a lost cause. So, I mean, the story has a good ending. Don't worry. But I contacted my friend, Martijn, who makes the U64 streamer app, and he fixes Amigas and he does 3D printing. He does everything, right? So, I contacted him, asked if he could help me, and I sent him the pictures, and he said, well, dude, this is just way too bad to fix. And I agreed with him. So, patient dead. So then I went looking for an alternate solution to play this game. Now, I'll get back to that side of the story because I found an alternate solution in my Megadrive Mini. This thing. Can we see it? Hold on. Two hands. My Megadrive Mini. And, of course, this doesn't have Musha on it. Does it? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. So I decided to hack this. And hacking, I mean, you know, kids today, they call installing new software, they call that hacking already. So, but anyway, I found a software package called Project Lunar, and I'll put a link in the description, that just installs over what is installed on here, and it uses the USB ports. But it's a very, very easy install. And it allows you just to select Megadrive ROMs, which, yes, you have to pirate or somehow pull off your own carts, but you know how it goes. So I went for Musha, and it's pretty easy to find the MD files and just install it on this. So now when I start up this, I get just a regular old screen, but with the games that I add. Isn't that great? That's wonderful. It doesn't only install Project Lunar. It also installed RetroArch and Emulation Station. If you are familiar with that kind of thing, RetroArch allows you even to connect a USB storage device, and that will during runtime or when it's off, it'll just add storage. So it'll add games and you can play them. The RetroArch interface is less fancy than what is on here normally, but you can play the entire library of Megadrive games on this. So I liked that a lot. Not that I have the entire library, because who does that? Nobody ever plays the games that start with numbers. But one thing that I couldn't do is connect my arcade stick to this, because the real Megadrive hardware has like the sub D connectors, and this has USB connectors. So I still wanted to have a way of playing my Musha that I bought, the repro, on the real hardware. So here's the thing. I started looking for ways of making my own Megadrive cartridge. So I found Banjo Guy Ollie's video where he explains how to do this, and he makes his own board, his own PCB, and then he takes the ROM off and he installs a new EEPROM that he burns with the game that he wants, and presto, you have and he does this with Musha LS as well, or with Musha, I should say. So I started looking into this. Can I do this? Can I buy this from Banjo Guy Ollie? No, because Ollie only sells the PCBs, which is, I guess, but you have to get a capacitor and you have to get a resistor, and I'm not going to do that. I have to buy a PCB, and it's all going to be very expensive. So I started looking for a donor card. Now, are you still with me? Because now we're back to the original story, right? Musha is a 512K game, meaning that the entire ROM is 512K. So it'll fit on any size ROM chip, EEPROM. You can get them in 512K, you can get them 1 MB, 1 megabit, I guess that is, or megabyte, 2 megabyte, and 4 megabyte. Now, this Banjo Guy Ollie explained it in a way that you had to match like the PCB to the size chip, as if the chip that goes on each size PCB is different. Now, the chips are different, but I'm not sure that the PCBs are different. But I didn't want to take the risk. So I started looking for a game, a Megadrive game, that is 512K, just like Musha LS. And first thing is, there is no list. There is now because I put it there, but there is no list on the internet that I found that lists the Megadrive games and their ROM sizes. Nobody knows. Nobody that I asked knows. So I made a list. I downloaded the complete set. I think it's 1,700 games, and I just unpacked them, made a directory listing, and I cleaned it up. And now there's a list on Facebook in the Sega Megadrive Facebook group. It's a post of mine that lists all the games. The one game that I had that was 512 game was Altered Beast. I don't know where it is now. Oh, it's over there. Altered Beast. I didn't like Altered Beast. I played it. Many people who upload Sega Megadrive videos like Altered Beast. I didn't care for it. I thought it was slow. It wasn't my type of game. So I was willing to sacrifice my Altered Beast, which was 512K. So this afternoon, I unsoldered Altered Beast from its PCB, which I have here, while the PCB sat on that side. I'm going to fit this PCB in my reproduction LS case. I tried to fix this with super glue this afternoon, but super glue doesn't work on this type of plastic and this paper, so it didn't stick at all, so I have to find something else. But this fits. This fits. Now, where's the chip, you may ask? Because the thing that I lifted out of this thing doesn't work. It's going in the trash. But my friend Martijn, who I asked to help with the tiny soldering, said, hey, I use these chips that you mentioned in Amiga Kickstarter ROMs. So I have them. He showed me a picture of he had like 10 of these things in a box. So I asked him, can I buy one? Yes. Would you burn one for me? Yes, sure. So I sent him the file. He burned it the same day and sent it to me. I don't have it yet. I would have shown you, but I expect it in any day now. I'm going to solder it in, and I'll have my Megadrive. It'll go in my real hardware. I can sit in my little corner, as you just seen me do, and I can play Musha on the real hardware with my stick. Isn't that great? I love it. I love that. And on top of that, I can play any game that I like and load it on my Megadrive Mini and play that right here or on my TV inside the house or anywhere where I have HDMI. I love it. So if you have any suggestions for Mega Drive games that I should play, please let me know in the comments. If you want to know more about Project Lunar, if you want my input, it was really easy. You can just follow the steps and it'll work. You can hack your Mega Drive into playing any game that you like. So I'm happy. And I hope you are too. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.